Summer is hot. In a certain small village, Yuji was anxiously searching in the town. He needed to find his first disciple of the sect. After a while, his eyes lit up. In front of her was a girl with a firewood on her back. The girl looked 12 or 13 years old, with a dark complexion and a confused look, but the talent of the fire spirit root was as high as rank 6. Well, looking at it like this, she needs rescue. Girl. Yuji walked over and said with a smile. Young master. Shen Qinghan glanced at the young man in front of him in confusion. The young man's eyebrows were clear and there was some divine light in his eyes. At first glance, he looked like a powerful man. Just what did he come to do with him? Girl, do you occasionally feel that life is very powerless, and sometimes you can't sleep? Yuji said seriously. Yes. Shen Qinghan was taken aback. Girl, do you feel oppressed and there are many people around you bullying you? Yuji asked again. Yes. Shen Qinghan's eyes began to change. Girl, now there is a chance in front of you, either, you can get the chance to become immortal. Yuji stroked the non-existent beard. This. I don't really think about it, I still want to chop wood. Shen Qinghan replied tangled. Haha, then do you want to stay young forever? Yuji threw out his trump card. Please be sure to accept me as an apprentice. Shen Qinghan instantly knelt down to Yuji. Could it be that he has been suffering for so many years, is he finally able to find a master? This is really not easy. Yuji, I've lived for so many years, but I can't handle your little girl. He quickly helped her up again. Come with me, I have something for you to see. What is it? Shen Qinghan was confused. You'll know when you arrive. Yuji said mysteriously. After a few days. Shen Qinghan wondered if she had been deceived. After seeing a dilapidated cottage, she was a little scared. There was a lot of fear in Wu Yanjiang's eyes, and he was about to cry. Deng Xianmen. This is the name of this sect, and the young man who brought him here before is the head of this sect. Going to look around again, there is really no one, and you can still see some feces pulled down by birds. God! This is really a simple martial art. However, Yuji had already changed into a suit of the sect master's clothes, which was loose and baggy, apparently just turned out. He was standing on a stone with a mahogany sword in his hand. Dao Mujian played twice, and when he saw Shen Qinghan was dumbfounded, he calmed down for a while. I know you're confused right now, and you might think I'm a bad guy, Yuji said. Could it be the bad guy? This is the bad guy. You tricked me into this kind of wilderness, why is that? Could it be, do you have a bad heart towards yourself? Shen Qinghan's dark little face was a little red in the dark, and she was even more nervous. At this time, Shen Qinghan looked like a little braised egg. From today onwards, you will be my disciple to ascend to the immortal sect. Yuji took out a secret book from behind. Shen Qinghan hurriedly accepted in a daze. Looking down, the secret of immortality. Yes. Really a straightforward name. This Dao doesn't need to be explained too much, but you believe me, you will know whether it will work as soon as you practice it. Yuji looked inscrutable. Okay. Shen Qinghan was embarrassed. Yuji, it's so reluctant. Don't worry, there's something to eat in the thatched cottage next to you, but this is your first test. If you don't even know this kind of exercise. Haha. Then you still want to stay young forever. I advise you to go back. Yuji raised her head slightly and looked down at the girl in front of her. Shen Qinghan was still deeply suspicious, but after hearing what Yuji said, she instantly became serious. Study. Qinghan is learning now. As she said that, she also opened up the secret book in a good manner, and immediately began to meditate and study it obediently. Ruzai can be taught. Yuji was satisfied. In the corner of Shen Qinghan's vision, Yuji's hands behind his back crushed a jade talisman, and his body instantly disappeared in place. Shen Qinghan was shocked. He hurriedly kowtowed, "Senior sect leader, walk slowly." She really had the chance to join the immortal sect, and this young man, who doesn't know his name, is her senior brother. In this way, you really have to cultivate well, and you must not let your senior brother down. Shen Qinghan began to practice with her eyes closed. Following the introduction in the secret book, a slight fiery red aura began to flow into her internal organs. While she felt the slightest pain, she was also in pain and happy. The senior brother in charge didn't lie to me. This book is really useful. Of course it works. Yuji slumped down from a tree. The jade talisman just now was just a little trick. It could teleport to an area of 30 feet around it, and the next time it was used, it would take an hour. But after seeing Shen Qinghan practicing hard, he relaxed. Because while Shen Qinghan was cultivating, he also felt the rising aura in his body. In this way, he did not look at Shen Qinghan for a while, and his body gradually disappeared in place. When he appeared again, he was already in a luxurious Wei's mansion, in his bedroom. He glanced at the stone bricks under his feet. There is divine jade hidden under the stone bricks. After he continued to meditate for 10 breaths, he could travel back and forth in the divine jade. This requires consumption of Dao points. Talk, everything needs to be pointed. Yuji raised his forehead a little. It has been a month since Yuji came to this world. The memories before coming here were painful, but after coming here, I was quite happy. At least he is living a very good life now. He lives in the Yufu's residence, and he is the last of the 3 peers in the Yufu's residence. That is, the little master. Usually he doesn't have anything to do in the mansion, he just needs to fish. But how can things be so simple? If the strength is moderate, it is better. If the strength is too poor, it can easily be regarded as a gas bucket. Yuji is right. In particular, there have been some problems in the business of the Yufu recently, which has made people panic. There was no other way, Yuji could only choose to go out in person and inherit a fairy sect that he had acquired. It's all their fault that they are not up to their standards. Xianmen was named Dengxian by Yuji, which is also what the people of Kyushu like to do the most. There is an immortal stone in the immortal gate. The immortal stone is indestructible and extraordinary. It can transform the results of the cultivation of the disciples in Xianmen. It wasn't theft either, but at the same time as the disciple was cultivating, an extra share was given to Yuji. Therefore, the more Xianmen disciples, the faster Yuji's cultivation speed will be. This is a good thing. In practice, it is really quite difficult. The first question is very simple: why? Why don't others go to a sect, a lesser-known sect like you? Why didn't others choose a sect and came to a sect like yours? Do you have any exercises in your sect? How is the environment in your sect? Is there a cave in your sect? Does your sect provide medicine pills? Is there a place for refining weapons in your sect? If not, then why should I come? So I found a lot of people in the past 10 days, but none of them were deceived. It's better, girl Shen Qinghan. Once you cheat, you will be cheated. No. How can this be called a lie? That exercise is real. Yuji took a sip of the tea soup, which was very astringent. And a sect needs several elements. Defying the heavens sect master. A tyrannical technique. Excellent elixir. Nice blessing. Feasible forging. Therefore, the heads of general sects are the most powerful ones, and then they slowly accept apprentices and slowly start to develop. But Yuji's side is different. He really doesn't have such a thing as spiritual roots. Others don't know anything, but he doesn't have any. The talent for pulling the hips makes people speechless, so I can only rely on the efforts of my disciples, so I need to provide them with a good place to live. I want to know deeply that I came from the disciples, and I also want to go to the disciples. The previous exercise is an example. It's not that powerful, it's just a 9th rank martial skill that can be cultivated to the peak of Qi training. It was Yuchi who exchanged 100 taels of silver for 100 Dao points while other scattered cabins were bought for a few Dao points. So if Yuchi wants to develop a sect, he needs to invest a lot of Dao points, and he needs to invest a lot of gold and silver. I am in charge of making money, and they are in charge of cultivation. The division of labor is clear. Yuchi smiled wryly. In fact, he also wanted to cultivate, but he couldn't cultivate, there was no way, he was born a model worker. Although I am the 3rd young master of the Wei family, and the Wei family is quite rich, but all the money I have accumulated for a month has gone into the section. Now there are a few thatched cottages and a book. During this time, I have to find a way to get some more money. At least I need to exchange for a blessed land. Most of the sects have blessed land. Cultivation in the blessed land can speed up the cultivation speed, so under the catalysis of the blessed land, it is acceptable to have a little talent. Shen Qinghan is the 6th rank fire spirit root. The 6th rank is already quite a perfect statistic. The worst is the 1st rank, and the best is the 9th rank. She is a 6th rank, so if she hadn't been tricked by me, then once she was discovered, she would definitely join the section. So I need to treat her better. At least exchange her for a cheap blessed land. Then let me see, what is the cheapest thing in the blessed land? Yuchi looked at the immortal stone in his mind. Flying Lotus Formation, the next rank 9 blessed land, can increase the training speed by 20%, can accommodate a disciple in the Qi training period, and needs to consume 1000 Dao points. Yuchi was silent for a while. That's 1000 taels of silver. Hehe, my monthly allowance is 1 tael. I only got 100 taels of silver from selling some personal items. Yuchi burst into tears. In his heart, he thought secretly, King Han, senior brother in charge treats you well, how are you going to repay me in the future? Thinking about it, he glanced at Shen Qinghan's message. Shen Qinghan, the mortal realm is twofold, the sex favor, 60%. Yuchi nodded slowly, I didn't expect that she had already broken through to the 2nd level of the mortal realm. I felt the body, and I did break through to the 2nd level. And now she likes it 60% of the time. Good impression is what Yuchi values most, and he wouldn't expect Shen Qinghan to stay in Dengxianmen completely from the beginning. This is not realistic. The goodwill gradually increases. Once it reaches 100%, it will never betray. This is Yukai's basis. If a person's personality is too strong, and he eats all kinds of things, then this kind of person can't be kept. Shen Qinghan should have no problem. She now has a 60% favorable impression of the sect, and she will be able to reach 100% if she trains it in the future. I think she has never seen the world. Otherwise, if I've been to other sects, I won't be able to cheat. Bah, no matter how much I open or close my mouth, it's all a lie. I'm doing this for her good. We are the most powerful one among the thousands of sects in Kyushu. Other sects are all oppressing their disciples. I want to be a proper leader. Yuchi didn't think about it for the time being, what he had to do before the task was very simple. Get money. Get money. Still making money. How to get money? Yuchi set his eyes on some of his belongings. All these belongings are packed and taken away. This is to be sold directly. Presumably they should be able to sell some money. At this moment someone knocked on the door. Boom! Dong dong! Yuchi could only temporarily put down what he was doing, and opened the door. A familiar man stood outside the door. The man is very scholarly, his name is Yu Zhet, he is Yuchi's eldest brother, and now he helps his father in business. He also has a second brother named Yu Fei, but Yu Fei is a standard dude and has a son outside. Third brother, father has something to look for you. Yu Zhe said. Okay. Yuchi agreed. The door of the conference hall was already closed, and the atmosphere seemed a little depressing. Sitting in the main seat was a middle-aged man with grey hair. His name was Yu Su Bing, and he was Yu Kai's father. "Father, I called the third brother over," Yu Zhe said. "Okay, you can go to work first." Yu Su Bing waved his hands wearily. "Yes." Yu Zhe glanced at Yu Su Bing helplessly, and then glanced at Yu Qi in disgust. He left the conference hall and closed the door gently with his backhand. "Father!" Yu Qi called out obediently. "Well, I called you for three main things. Listen to me." Yu Qi nodded slowly. In his own impression, his father didn't seem to be so serious, and he was usually more kind to the three brothers. But what happened today? The first thing, don't think about that girl from the Qi family. They have already cut ties with us, and your engagement has stopped. As the third young master of the Wei family, Yu Qi has zero cultivation, but his status is here, so he is married and has a fiancée. But to say who this fiancée is and what she looks like, he doesn't know. But it doesn't matter, he is not interested in such trivial matters at all right now. But is it just a girl? In the future, I will find one from my sect. Isn't she bad? Yu Qi nodded slowly. The second thing, don't walk around in the town recently, there is a gang in the town that is uneasy. Yu Su Bing added. The place where the Yufu is located is called Sufo Town. Sufo Town is a very large town with a resident population of more than 100,000. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Of course, there are many big mansions, many gangs, and all kinds of things are very annoying. This is also because Yu Qi himself is the third young master, so he never went to the slums to see it, so he naturally didn't know the murderousness behind this Sufo town. Yu Qi still nodded. The third thing, you bring money to redeem people, your second brother is trapped in the casino owing money, a total of 2,000 taels of silver, you take it with you, and after you redeem people, don't do anything on the way, just directly come back and hide. There is your elder brother and I in the Yufu, I will find a teacher for you every few days, and also learn some culture, don't miss a bite of food by then. After Yu Su Bing finished speaking, he was obviously a few years older. Yu Qi couldn't bear it, he was about to say something, but Yu Su Bing had already waved his hand, indicating that he could leave. No way. Yu Qi could only retire. Just after he went out, his eldest brother, Yu Zhe, stood beside him and said silently, "Third brother, I don't want you to become like the second brother one day." "I won't." Yu Qi promised. He took 2,000 taels of silver and went out. What is the concept of 2,000 taels? Yu Qi didn't know it before, but now he knows that one tael of silver is 1,000 wen, about 1,000 yuan from a previous life, so how much is 2,000 tael of silver? That's 2 million. Yu Fei actually lost 2 million? Is that human being? Yu Qi was shocked. He didn't come to this world for a long time, and he didn't even know about it. As for why he was asked to redeem people, the reason is very simple. This second brother has a bad relationship with anyone, but he has a good relationship with Yu Qi. Only he can persuade him to come back. And what about Yu Qi? He bought a knife by the way. Yu Qi lifted the cloth of the casino and walked in until he saw Yu Fei, who was beaten in the corner with a bruised face. He sighed deeply. What about my second brother who prostitutes? Even if it is prostitution, it doesn't cost money, but gambling is no good. How many people have come through the road with blood, and he still goes? I don't know, am I inseparable from gambling and drugs? To know the 2,000 taels of silver, I could have found a way to get it, and then go to form a sect. Now it's all used up. Haha, Yu Fei, your third brother is here to pick you up. And then, Yu Qi, did you bring the money? Yu Qi was too lazy to pay attention to these thugs, and gestured to the 2,000 taels in his hands. After the thugs saw Yu Qi's 2,000 taels, their faces showed greed. But you beat my second brother like this. Yuji looked at the surrounding thugs. Is this bad? Haha, he wants to escape, we have no choice. The thug said jokingly. Really? Did he escape successfully? Did he step out of this door? Yuji looked around coldly. Everyone was confused. What's the situation? Today's Yuji is different from what he understands. And Yuji took one of the 2,000 silver notes and put it on the table, the rest is the cost of the wound. The people next to her were about to come up to surround Yuji. Yuji had already come to Yufei's side. Yufei was beaten until his nose was blue and his face was swollen. When he saw that it was Yuji, his funny face was full of calls for help. Third brother. You are finally here. The words were unclear. Yuji directly puffed him out. The gamblers stepped aside. When Yuji pressed Yufei's finger on the gaming table indifferently, his expression didn't change. The knife slashed directly on his little finger. The eyes of others glared. Is this really chopped? And Yufei kicked his legs, all the feces and urine came out, and the person even passed out. Yuji didn't speak anymore, didn't despise his filth, carried him on his shoulders, and threw the pickling knife in his hand to the ground next to him. Some of the women accompanying the gamblers had already called out in horror. Is it really a bargain? Going to see Yuji carrying Yufei on his back, no one dared to stop him. His gaze was fierce. Typically, one will die and the other will die. And Yufu is indeed encountering a problem now, but the thin dead camel is bigger than the horse. Is this place really here to kill Yuji and Yufei? Kill two at once? This is not wanting to live anymore. Who doesn't have 2 or 3 monks' staff? Those monks in the foundation establishment period can even kill them completely at will. Big brother. The thugs were anxious. Let them go. A man with a shiny face waved his hand, looking at Yuji with hatred already. Also sneered. I see how long your Wei family can keep going, once your business with the 12 linked docks can't be done. The first one to find you, that's me. Ha 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 ha. There was laughter in the casino. Yuji didn't answer. He was carrying his second brother while the people were dumbfounded, with Yufei's fingers in his hands. Certainly. There is still a bunch of twisted silver notes. Hee hee. Yuji bared his teeth. I have received the 10,000 taels of silver notes, and these people can't even notice my speed. I got it from the counter while there was chaos. Since you dragged my second brother into the abyss, I still need to get some back. Of course, the 10,000 taels of silver notes were lost, which must have been discovered in the end. But it doesn't matter. Yuji never took this kind of person seriously, until he... Not right. Wait until Shen Qinghan works harder, and then he will clean them up by himself. Casino. For Yuji, the casino in Sufu town has harmed many people, and it is also his wealth. Back home. Yuji left amid Yufei's scolding. He now stinks and needs to be cleaned. The eldest brother, Yuzhe, stood in front of him, saying nothing, he just stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Between the two men, everything was kept silent. Yufei's hand was fine, it was fine to pick it up, and it was fine if he had less strength. The most important thing was long memory. Yuji nodded and left. After taking a bath and changing clothes, I heard someone from a casino approaching me. It was said that Yuji stole things from the casino, but it was the Yufu, and there were guards in the Yufu. Now that the Weifu has not been destroyed, is it still these people's turn to point fingers? Non-existent. These people can only leave ruthlessly, and they will definitely find their way back in the future. Yuji doesn't care. Now the eldest brother and Yu Subing's father are obviously not good enough, and he will take the lead in the future of the Yu family. Rather, we have to see what the devil is. And Xianxi didn't recognize the silver note, so Yuji entrusted his eldest brother to exchange it. When the eldest brother, Yuzhe, saw the silver note, his eyes popped out. I thought that this kid is really fast. Silver notes are useless for Yuqi, but they can be easily washed away for Yuzhet. He directly gave Yuqi the money from the Yufu's residence. He didn't even ask what Yuqi was going to do. A total of 12,000. With a large box of 10,000 taels in front of him, Yuqi began to transform into Dao points one by one. Is this what happiness feels like? Yuqi felt the fire spirit energy slowly increasing in his body, and he felt really good now. The Flying Lotus formation was directly realized in the Immortal Stone, and the Flying Lotus formation was only 1,000 points. Yuqi still has 9,000 left. He is not in a hurry. Keep the 9,000 points, there is no need to give such a good one as soon as you come up, so Shen Qinghan will inevitably be proud. It is better to be Loki. The next day, Yuqi woke up in a daze, and he felt his body a little. The body has already increased to the 5th level of the mortal realm. The speed at which this cultivation level increases is amazing. Is this the cultivation level of the 6th grade fire spirit root? Yuqi sighed, Qinghan is amazing. So logically speaking, this girl didn't stop to practice for a day, her toughness is really strong. I thought about it. He still exchanged a pill. Na and Dan, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com consumes 100 Dao points. After taking it, it can increase the absorption speed of spiritual energy in a short time. It lasts about a day or so. I can't eat this kind of thing, I still need Qinghan. Thinking. Yuqi began to meditate. After 10 breaths, he opened his eyes, and he had already arrived at this barren place. Climb into the immortal gate. Shen Qinghan was cultivating, his dark face was full of beads of sweat, and then he opened his eyes in a daze. When she saw that it was Yuqi, she immediately knelt down. Yuqi helped her up, this isn't the wedding night, why do you kneel down? Shen Qinghan lowered her head, full of shyness. Why did your senior brother appear? Yuqi coughed dryly, now you're at the 5th level of the mortal realm, right? Yes. The head's eyes. Shen Qinghan's eyes were shining. As expected of the senior brother in charge, he is amazing. Yuqi couldn't hold back his laughter. He pinched his finger and took out this Nawan pill, you must cultivate well, don't slack off, this is a reward for you. This is? Shen Qinghan asked curiously. Na and Dan, after you swallow it, you can increase the speed of your cultivation in one day. It's not a valuable thing, and it's just a tale of silver when you buy it outside. Yuqi said casually. Yu Guang glanced at Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan was already covering her mouth, not daring to speak. Look again. Shen Qinghan, the 5th level of the mortal realm, the favor of the sect, 90%. Tisk, this girl really has never seen anything good. One Na and Dan directly bought Zhuzhong. Shen Qinghan really had no one who had eaten these things. In his sigh, he was moved again, and he didn't know what to say. Yuqi indicated that there was no problem. He brought Shen Qinghan to an open space. What did you see? Yuqi asked in a deep voice. Flowers, grass. Shen Qinghan blinked, a 12 or 13-year-old girl, and butterflies. It's not just these. Yuqi squeezed his fingers into a sword art, and waved it in front of him twice at will, raising his toes and poking his fingers. Change. Get hairy. In fact, it was to take out the Flying Lotus formation in the Immortal Stone. A depression appeared in the earth, and the sky water descended from the sky. While Shen Qinghan was dumbfounded, a lotus flower appeared from the pool. Looking at it, there was originally a lotus pond that was transformed into a lotus pond. So beautiful! Shen Qinghan lay on the bank and looked at her dark face, her eyes were full of shock. Brother too. It's amazing. Shen Qinghan, the 5th level of the mortal realm, the favor of the sect, 100%. Yuqi was helpless. Is this the 10th time? Sure enough, this girl Qinghan has a good personality. In the future, King Han, you will cultivate on the lotus leaf. This is a blessed place, and it will increase your cultivation speed. These are some small rewards from this sect master and you. You practice hard, and there will be good things in the future. Yuchi patted Shen King Han's little head. Youth forever, honor. Youth forever, sect master. N. Then you can practice. If you have something to do, you can just call the immortal stone. Yuchi gestured to the immortal stone in the center of the field. Immortal stones are invincible, and they are able to communicate with him. In front of Yuchi, he didn't plan the immortal gate in detail. All this will be used first, and then he will accumulate enough points later. Then directly raise the immortal stone. Starting from the next promotion of the immortal stone, the sect has begun to have a great formation to protect the mountain. Yuchi then smiled softly. He didn't need to stay here. Before Shen King Han came back to his senses, he had already disappeared. Staying behind, Shen King Han, a little girl, stood beside the lotus pond beautifully. The water is crystal clear. You can even see some fish in the water. So beautiful. If my parents can see such a good result in the spirit of heaven, then I will definitely be very relieved. Shen King Han rubbed her tears. This is also an obedient practice. But the sect master is so mysterious, he came and went in a hurry. In the future, I must repay my senior brother properly. Next time, I'll ask the sect master's brother's name. Shen King Han lightly came to the lotus leaf in the lotus pond. On a large lotus leaf, she closed her eyes. Nau Dan ate it, and immediately felt that the pores opened. With the help of the formation, she has never felt so good. That feeling. It is really unforgettable. And if Yuchi was present, he could see that Shen King Han's little face gradually shattered. It wasn't someone who blew up. It's because she is slowly changing. The shattered black shell fell on the lotus and disappeared. She had to practice as seriously as she could. The 9th level of the mortal realm is the cultivation realm. The 13th level of Qi practice is foundation building. Once you have the cultivation base of building a foundation, a town like Sufuchhen, as long as you don't die, then basically there is no problem. When Yuchi returned to the Yufu's mansion, he was sweating profusely. Is squatting. I was puzzled in my heart, and I didn't know whether the fairy squatted in the pit or not. Probably not, they are already fairies. Yuchi is also very happy now. The so-called no people know the face but not the heart, but now he knows that Shen King Han is absolutely reliable. I wonder if there is anything in the world better than this kind of thing? There is none left. Confidant is the most important. And along with the blooming of aura of fire in his body, Yuchi's body became much smoother. He broke through again. He directly broke through from the 5th level of the mortal realm to the 6th level of the mortal realm. By the time Yuchi frowned and left the toilet, he had already risen to the 7th level of the mortal realm. What else can Yuchi say? King Han is really serious. When she has time in the future to let her come out and hang out with me, she can't keep cultivating. Yuchi thought. He should pay attention to humanistic care. Although he has been very good to Shen King Han, other schools don't have this, but he will not be so arrogant, crossing the river and demolishing the bridge. He would rather have fewer people from the sect, and don't want to harm these children he trusts. And King Han is a fire attribute. I will try to find some good seedlings in the future, and find a junior sister to accompany her. In the Xiaoxian sect, monks have 8 attributes. Water and fire, thunder and wind, civil engineering, yin and yang. The realm starts from the mortal realm, to foundation building, to crystallization, etc. It is difficult step by step, and it is difficult to ascend to the sky. If you are alone, it is difficult to break through the foundation. But Yuchi was different. He had the help of his disciples. If the disciples help him, he will be able to get more money, and he will be able to feed the disciples back. This is the forward cycle. So Yuchi believes that his Ascension sect can become the #1 sect in Kyushu. And he will become a famous old head. There are two things in front of me at this time. It's not too much money, I need a lot of Dao points, especially to upgrade the Immortal Stone. The first upgrade will cost me 100,000 Dao points. Secondly, I need to find new disciples, otherwise King Han will be too lonely alone. Thinking. There was a knock on his door. The person who came was his eldest brother, Wei Zhe. With a rare smile on Yu Zhe's face, after being welcomed into the bedroom by Yu Qi, he drank a cup of tea soup. Third brother, now the second brother doesn't dare to gamble. He told me just now that he really won't dare next time. Let me come over and apologize to you, forgive him once, he is old and young. Weij said. The two laughed at the same time. Isn't that right? You can do other things, but you can't touch this kind of thing. Yuji said with a smile. Well, he probably didn't dare to go for a long time. Now the casino is very angry because of the 10,000 taels of silver. If he goes, he will be gone on the spot. With a smile, as expected of the third brother, it is true that I underestimate you. You can still stand up when it is critical. Otherwise, it's really troublesome for the two of us, just relying on me and Dad. It's okay. Yuji waved his hand, but since you are here, brother, I just have something I want to ask brother. What's the matter? Yu Zhe poured a cup of tea for himself and Yu Qi. While thanking Yu Qi, he also asked, what's the situation in the 12 links? I heard from someone in the casino yesterday that I never cared about this kind of thing before, so I don't know what problems our Yufu is facing now. That's right. Yu Zhe was very satisfied that Yu Qi was able to raise this question. Although this problem was difficult to solve, he still said, do you know what the business we do in Yufu is? It seems to be selling clothes. Yu Qi guessed. Yes, our Sufu town is a big clothing town. We control about 10% of the clothes in the town. We sell the clothes through the waterway. This is our business. Yu Zhe said, so the waterway is important to us. It's pretty important. Well. Yu Qi could understand. To get rich, build roads first. The road here does not refer to a separate road, but to the freight route. Once the freight route is gone, no matter how good things can be sold, what's the use? And the 12 links are the forces that control water transportation. They are 10 times stronger than our Yufu, but they are also very disciplined. We originally negotiated the price, and then they helped us deal with it. But something trouble happened recently. The 12th head of the family who cooperated with us, he was sick, seriously ill, and poisoned. When he was away, his subordinates started to have cholera, and all kinds of exorbitant prices caused us. My head hurts. Yu Zhe was a little sad. Yu Qi understands. It's like this anywhere. When people are in power, there are all kinds of flattery. If you are not in this position one day, the dog will not even look at you. It's not because you are powerful that I respect you, it's just because you took up this pit, it's because of respect for authority. What poison is it in? Yu Qi wondered. I don't know. Yu Zhe shook his head. The monks in the foundation building period have all seen it, but they all shook their heads. Then can I go visit? Yu Qi asked. Ah? Are you going to visit? Now? Yu Zhe was surprised. Well, let's see if I can save him. Yu Qi said, this is very important, isn't it? It's important. Yu Zhe said, but how can you help him? Do you still know medical skills, third brother? I understand. Yu Qi said calmly. Actually, of course I don't know. But what can be exchanged in the Immortal Stone, find out what other person's disease is, and then exchange it. After rescuing the 18th Master, there must be many benefits. You happen to have 9,000 Dao points, can you still not be able to raise a master with 9,000 Dao points? Wei Qi didn't believe it. Okay. Yu Zhe thought for a while, then let's go visit first, even if we can't cure it, this is our last friendship. Well, okay. Yu Qi said with a smile. In Sufu town, two brothers, Yu Qi and Yu Zhe, walked with masks, and there were no guards around, so that they could hide their eyes and ears. Passing through 2 brothels and 3 blacksmith shops, the two came to a post station, took the carriage of the post station, and approached the 12 link docks. Arrived at noon. Really far enough. This is our warehouse. Yu Zhe pointed to a tall building on the edge of the pier. Ah, can I go take a look? Yu Ji wondered. Sure. After the two verified their identities, they came to the warehouse by the river in Sufu town. The warehouse is about the size of 2 acres, and now all kinds of clothes are piled up. Yu Ji picked out a little girl's dress, made a gesture, and it was almost the size of King Han. Yep. Stayed. When he went out, he instructed, "Brother, you have to do a good job in the firefighting. I'm afraid of so many clothes piled up together." Fire. Yu Zhe was stunned. It means fire prevention, you should pay attention to fire prevention. Yu Ji reminded. Yes. Don't worry, we will definitely do a good job of this. Recently, it is mainly because of the problem of the 12 serial docks that we have accumulated so many. Otherwise, we usually only have a backlog of 10,000 pieces at most. Ah, good. Yu Ji touched his chin. He knew deeply that the fire was terrifying, but since Big Brother took it to heart, he could still rest assured. Then he left the warehouse. The two looked at the series of circular buildings straddling the river, and Yu Ji was very emotional. Is this the 12 docks? It turned out to be a huge chunk. I don't know what happened to the master. And Yu Zhe looked at the third brother beside him, he was a little sighed now. Is the third brother also interested in women's clothing? Is it fun to play? Paused. I'm also very interested. Let's talk about it later. In the 12 link docks, Yu Ji and Yu Zhe went in. It looked big from the outside, but after entering, it was even bigger. This is a giant stockade, built on a very wide river with various structures. The overall scale is huge. No wonder Yu Zhe said before that the 12 linked docks are 10 times larger than the Yufu. This is not just a bigger place. More than 10 times, that is, the number of people is also 10 times larger. Yu Qi followed behind Yu Zhe, and at his feet were big boats that were 100 meters long. The big boats were full of various goods, which were ready to be transported to all corners of Kyushu. Yu Qi was standing next to the wooden fence looking at the river under his feet. He could see that many sailors in the 12 link docks were carrying some cargo. Everyone didn't seem to have much strength, but they were able to carry them stably. It was really amazing. Very. You must know that the ship under your feet is floating on the river. Yu Qi's mind was a little messy. The Wei family happens to be making clothes, so I still have a lot of clothes in my mind. Otherwise, should I go to the tailor to discuss it? Make black silk and white silk first. The expression on Yu Qi's face became a little strange. I just went to the warehouse to see that the clothes of the people of Kyushu tend to be conservative. For women, it is the standard not to show the wrists and ankles. Men are relatively loose, but men generally do not show small arms or calves. All of them are some common antique styles. The clothes are generally very conservative, and there are only a few with their hairstyles going back and forth. If you can't come up like this, I will kill the Wei family. Take it easy. Start with conservative styles. Yu Qi remembers many women's clothing styles in online games. Although he is not a tailor, he generally knows the structure of these clothes. This kind of clothes looks like a fairy, it must be good. In this way, he grabbed the head of the sect with one hand, and led the Wei family to the line of making clothes. Okay. Think it's possible. When King Han grows up, she can be a clothes hanger. Shen King Han, thank you, sect master. At that time, a famous disciple will lead the way, and the trend should be able to go. I really can't, I'll give you money to have a female disciple from a sect come over to wear it. The people of Kyushu are too simple. They will definitely not bring goods. You have to know that Gezi and Panzi both came out and floated before, you can imagine what kind of cruel business this is to bring goods. So in the future, I will create a clothing shop, which will be called, Fairy Clothes Pavilion. This can ensure the premium price, and at the same time, the quality can be made slowly. He didn't want to cheat the people of Kyushu with money, and he didn't dare to fight a price war. If you want to kill the disciples of those sects. They have fat heads and big ears, so easy to kill. In this way, I hold a climbing immortal gate in my left hand, and a fairy clothes pavilion in my right hand. I can't kill anyone with my right hand, but I will come again with my left. At least under the vast soil of Kyushu, slowly, no one will attack me, right? In Yuji's thinking, Yuzhe walked out of the inner room. Okay, third brother, go ahead, Jian Wenxi agreed to let you try it out. Yuzhe breathed a sigh of relief. Success. Yuji temporarily put the matter of clothes to the back of his mind. Jian Wenxi was the 12th head of the 12 link docks, and the sailors below him frowned. These sailors were Jian Wenxi's cronies, and they looked at Yuji suspiciously. The illness of his own boss made the monks in the foundation establishment period shake their heads. How could he be able to handle it as a person from the Weifu? Does it not exist? After a stick of incense, Yuji walked out of a bedroom with a frown. When Yuzhe saw Yuji coming out, he hurried over to greet him. How is Jian Wenxi? Yuzhe was worried. It's basically dead, Yuji said. Really? Yuzhe sighed. Yes, the poisoning is so deep, the monks in the foundation establishment period can't do anything, let alone us. But it's not dead yet. Yuji said again. Yuzhe was speechless. Can you finish it in one breath? Third brother. Yes. Yuji nodded, touched his chin, looked at the river under his feet. Difficult. Yuzhe rolled his eyes. He really lost his temper. Like his father, Yuji squeezed out his words. But it's fine. Yep. I have already rescued him. Yuji nodded slowly, and when he saw the shocking expression from the elder brother, he smiled and said, I'm not very good at medicine, occasionally, just occasionally. For Yuji, it's not difficult to save people, isn't it an elixir? He has it. As for what the poisoning of the opponent was, he didn't know, but considering that Jian Wenxi was at the peak of qi refining, he felt that the pills in the foundation building stage were enough to save him. Quality poison, right? Jian Wenxi is not worthy. Jian Wenxi. Now after being rescued, Jian Wenxi can walk down the ground. No, just as the two brothers were talking, Yu read www.yuuganshu.com. A feisty middle-aged man came out. He was wearing a water pirate's clothes, and his face was full of excitement. Father. Jian Wenxi knelt down directly to Yuji. I don't have a son as old as you. Yuji hurriedly helped him up. I have already sworn in my heart that whoever can save me, I will recognize whoever will be my father, and now you are my father. Jian Wenxi said firmly. She also wiped away tears. Speaking of which, it is also a grievance. The 12 link docks are indeed very big, but the relationship between the 12 masters is not harmonious. After he was poisoned, they just came over and shouted a few words at random, saying something that didn't hurt or itchy, and it was gone. Unexpectedly, he was rescued by the third young master of the Yufu. Yuji definitely refused. What did he want the son of Jian Wenxi to do? Isn't this a crime? But when he saw Jian Wenxi pull out a jade wrench from his pocket, his expression changed. You are my brother. Yuji patted Yuzhe's shoulder when he was in shock, this is more intimate. The hand took away the jade finger without leaving a trace. Okay. Qian Wenxi was moved, he also noticed Yuqi's action, and he was even more happy. For the people in 12 links, they only have money. If the other party doesn't love money, then they can't talk about going together. Since the other party received this jade wrench, it means that they are all the way. In this way, Qian Wenxi immediately said to Yuqi, by the way, big brother, come with me, I'll show you something. Ah! Yuqi's expression changed slightly, why is this sentence so familiar? Little girl Shen King Han, I'm familiar with this. Qian Wenxi wanted to send Yuqi a maid, not a local citizen of Sufo town. She came from an exotic land, with all kinds of styles, and all kinds of special costumes fell on her body. There is really a thrilling feeling. What about Yuqi? He refused because the maid could be his grandma's level. I didn't expect Qian Wenxi to like this bite. The 3 people behind and the other sailors gathered together and had a good meal before returning to the Wei's mansion. Yuqi and Yu Zhe returned to Yufu. After Yuqi's father, Yu Su-bing, heard that Yuqi had brought Qian Wenxi alive, he was very happy and gave Yuqi 1,000 taels of silver. Go, he kept suggesting that Yuqi was old enough to find a way to get a wife or something. Of course Yuqi refused, there were so many homeless girls waiting for him to rescue. With so much pain in this world, how could it be slowed down by marriage? Yu Su-bing burst out laughing. The others had already left the Yufu and went to the 12-link dock to run errands. The 12-link dock is very complicated, but after the most difficult thing has been solved, he has more things to do in the future. To be supplemented. Third brother. How did you fix him? Yu Zhe couldn't help asking. He still couldn't figure out why. Because I have a master. Yuqi smiled, this detox pill was the gift he gave me. Master. Yu Zhe was surprised, it's not that the eldest brother speaks straight, but we don't have a monk in the Wei family. Our meridians are very blocked, and our bodies have no spiritual roots. I don't know that. Yuqi smiled and touched his head, maybe he sees me as a good person. Haha. Yu Zhe laughed out loud. He looked at his third brother with emotion. His third brother made him feel better and better. Really good. Then that senior will have the opportunity to come to our Weifu. You must tell us that we have to entertain others well. Yes. Yuqi smiled. I am the senior, and the senior is me. Now the big brother doesn't know. If he really guesses it in the future, God knows what his expression will be. Then change the subject. Brother, do our Yu family have their own tailor? Yu Qi and Yu Zhe stood in the courtyard. Some. Can we introduce Yufu's clothes by ourselves? Yu Qi asked. What do you mean? Yu Zhe was thoughtful. That's right. I'm going to create a clothing pavilion with a good reputation. I've already thought about the name, so it's called Xianyi Pavilion. Yuqi said sincerely. He certainly can't say the brand. Because there is no brand in Kyushu at all, and everyone spreads it by word of mouth, so I tell it by word of mouth. If I say this, my elder brother may understand. I understand what you mean. Yu Zhe nodded, your idea is possible, but it is difficult to implement in practice. Most people do not accept very complicated ideas. Many merchants have done this, but they all failed in the end. Because they have no business mind. Yuqi pointed to himself and said with a smile, I have. Joke. This is the person who survived from the profiteer in the previous life. If anyone were to change it, he would have green eyes in this kind of market. But Yuqi wasn't going to do some wicked business. He just had a normal way of thinking. Yu Zhe couldn't help laughing. He took Yuqi to the bottom of a big tree. There was a small stone table under the tree. The two of them sat down and drank tea like this, which was very good. Tell me about your thoughts in general, and I'll help you judge. Yu Zhe poured a cup of tea for his third brother. The two brothers have not done this for many years. First, we only make women's clothing. Yuji said. There is a saying in a previous life that a man's spending power is not as good as that of a pet. Although this sentence is strongly biased, for Yuji, he cannot cover everything. A brand is best only for one kind of object, which can improve the favorability of a single object. Otherwise, there are clothes for men, women, and children in the fairy clothing pavilion. This is unacceptable, and it will greatly increase the operating cost. Second point, we only do business with female disciples of the section. Yuji said again. This further subdivides the market. How many schools are there in Kyushu? There are many, as long as most people have spiritual roots, then they have the dream of cultivating immortals. And the population base of Kyushu is very large, so even if it is difficult for Lingen to appear, it cannot hold a large population base. So a single sect female disciple market is enough. And their consumption power is amazing. The third point, we want to invite some female celebrities from the sect to be the Warren of our section. Yuji said, the Warren here is an adjective, but under the leadership of these female celebrities, the reputation of our Xianyi pavilion will gradually start. After hearing this, Wei Zhe was greatly shocked. Isn't the normal way of thinking to climb up from the bottom? Step by step from the people out of the awe. Did you position yourself so high when you first came up? Naturally, Yuji didn't need to explain. He just asked with a smile, Big brother, do you know any female disciples of any sect? It's that kind of posture that is very good, and the strength and fame are great. I don't know, but I know which sect has it. Yu Zhe said, there is a Yunqian gate 500 miles north of our Sufu town. There are many very good female disciples among them, but you want female disciples. Disciple wears our clothes, it will cost money, and it will cost a lot. How much? Yuji asked. I'm not sure, why do you need 10,000 taels? Yu Zhe said, this is the foundation building period. Pfft! Yuji vomited blood, how much? 10,000 taels, the foundation building period is about the same, and then let others wear it for a month. Yu Zhe nodded, this is not counting the money of the disciples of Yun Shanmen. We must know that once this kind of business starts, we will start raising clouds. The mountain gate is over, will the elders give it? Will the head give it? Their appetite is huge. Yuji held his forehead. If it is so expensive, then there is no need. He will not look for outsiders, but find himself to go to the immortal sect. As the sect master, he still has this kind of small privilege, not to mention that it is also for the development of the sect. After Yi has made money, he can buy medicine pills for his disciples, and the sect can develop. Therefore, it is not for the disciples to go out to fight and kill. Such a small request is not excessive. It's not too much, it's simply a gift. This was because Yuji took it for granted that other sects were the same as him. You must know that other sects were very harsh. Disciples not only need to spend gold and silver to cultivate, but also need to help the sect to make money. A sect can be understood as a shop for cultivators, the head is the shopkeeper, the elders are other stewards, and the disciples are the juniors. Well, bro, you can find a tailor first, and I'll make a piece of clothing to see. Okay. If you just make the original clothes, it doesn't cost a lot of money. After 7 days, Yuji got her own clothes. It can't be said that they are almost the same as in the impression, they can only be said to be exactly the same. So this world of craftsmanship is possible. There are no special requirements for the material of the clothes, just ordinary cloth, but with this style in front of you, this is definitely very beautiful. Shopping mall clothes from an online game therapy profession. There are too many girls in the therapy profession, and those who can make girls pay for it. These painters are all masters. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Yuji didn't remember all the details, but it was enough. Okay. Yuchi is quite satisfied. The whole clothes are made of light blue texture, a kind of dress, and some streamers and prints. The whole style of painting is similar to the clothes in the Xiaoxian game. It is quite real, and it is very in line with the aesthetics of the entire Kyushu. Yu Zhao looked at the clothes in front of him in shock. Third brother. What are you holding in your head? Yu Zhao was horrified. The design of this dress is simply amazing. It's obviously the most common clothes, but putting this kind of common clothes on this couch has a feeling that people can't help but want to wear it. Then, let me see through it. The two brothers said in unison. After speaking, he was stunned for a moment. At the same time bowed his head. I just want to see the actual effect. The two spoke at the same time. The head is lower. The faces of the two men were flushed. Go find Wei Fei. The two were determined. Yu Fei was originally playing games with his own children, but recently he didn't dare to go to the casino. But this was directly dragged by the two brothers. Yu Fei is the most handsome of the three brothers. If the appearance of a woman is not a gamble, he thinks that he is the old-fashioned boy in Yuchi's impression. It's no wonder that someone who can be so playful outside has really good skin. Then there was Yu Fei's screams from inside the room. No. What? No. I'm so pretty. So lovely. Yuchi has already determined that he can make some beautiful clothes with the help of others, so the problem now is very simple, he needs to promote these clothes, but these clothes cannot be promoted only by his second brother, although the second brother's women's clothes are very beautiful, but even if he died, he did not want his children and wife to see his appearance. Hey, what a stubborn person! Yuchi was walking around in his yard. If we didn't want to destroy our image in front of our disciples, I could go out and perform. Do you want to make money? Don't be sloppy. Yuchi felt a little bit about his cultivation. The cultivation base has already reached the 8th level of the mortal realm, and Qinghan is still very powerful, she is really a well-behaved and obedient little girl. So, taking advantage of the fact that there are no big things right now, Yuchi is going to find a company for Shen Qinghan. At least cultivating alone is a bit lonely. The male disciple just skipped it, he didn't want chaos in his sect. You can directly find a female disciple. When they will establish their foundation, then they will find a way to hold a costume conference, and they will only need to make a name for themselves in Sufo town. As for finding sect disciples, Yuchi felt that he couldn't find them in Sufo town. He needs to go to a place far away from Sufo town, so it is convenient to do things. Yuchi didn't want others to know his identity, otherwise it would be difficult to explain the origin of Xianmen. So he first meditated and teleported to the sect, and then when Shen Qinghan hadn't reacted, he ran away, gritting his teeth. However, I also bought a flying sword in the immortal stone. At first, the flying sword was not running smoothly, and it bumped and bumped. Afterwards, Yuchi could stand on the flying sword, so the speed would be much faster. However, he still complained, is this flying sword flying so low? It is very close to the ground, like a skateboard. It's not enough to accelerate from 100 kilometers. It takes at least 20 seconds from 0 to 100. It's not as good as my previous 125 displacement curved beam motorcycle. In fact, it was because of his own lack of cultivation, that he wanted to go with the sword at the 8th level of the mortal realm. This was impossible in the first place. It is conceivable that if his body can be cultivated, even this kind of comprehension would be quite powerful. You can't boast. Yuchi stepped on the flying sword and drifted all the way through the mountains. After a few hours, while looking for his way, he jumped out of a bush, climbed off a cliff, and threw himself into a big river. Woohoo! Almost died. In Sufo town, after Qian Wenxi was rescued, there would definitely be a banquet, and the banquet was held in the Wei family. It's because he has a good relationship with his 12 linked docs, so naturally he won't interfere in secret, so the Wei family has prepared a lot for this. In another yard. Why hasn't the third brother come yet, where has he gone? Yu Fei couldn't help asking. A little girl was dragging beside him. The little girl looked about 5 or 6 years old. She perfectly inherited Yu Fei's beauty, and now she looks cute and well behaved at a young age. The third brother said that he has some things to deal with, and now after searching around in the Yufu, he still hasn't found any trace of him. The elder brother Yu Zhe said with a smile, but don't worry, the third brother is not holding any grudges. Man, as long as you don't gamble in the future, the third brother will not do anything to you, let alone tell others about you wearing women's clothes. Haha. Yu Fei blushed. He looked at the little girl beside him with some confusion. Yu Zhe understood, is this little girl your daughter? Yes. Yu Fei said, she doesn't have a name yet. I'm going to ask my third brother to help her come up with a name. Is that so? Yu Zhe looked at the little girl who seemed a little scared. He didn't need to talk about business, but asked Yu Fei in a low voice, who is her mother? Yu Fei blushed and couldn't answer. You don't know who she is, do you? Yu Zhe was shocked. He looked like a scholar, and his beard was about to fly out of anger. I really don't know. Anyway, she appeared out of nowhere, and they all said that this is my child, and then I recognized her. After all, she still looks a lot like me, doesn't she? Yu Fei said. Wei Zhe thinks he has read a lot of books. It's still exciting. They? Woohoo! How many women are you related to? Considering that those female companions of Yu Fei were all from some romantic places, the origin of this child is really uncertain. Have to. You are really amazing. The child's mother doesn't even know who she is, so she won't be a happy father, right? This is really broad-minded. Even if Yufu is not inferior to this pair of chopsticks, he always needs to know who this little girl's mother is. Big brother, don't tell the third brother about this kind of thing. Yu Fei whispered. What? Are you afraid of the third brother? Yu Zhe said angrily. I'm a little scared. Yu Fei looked at his little finger. The little finger had almost recovered, but his strength was much weaker. Hey, I can't do this again in the future. Yu Zhe patted him on the shoulder, but since things have come to this point, after the third brother comes back, let's talk about the specific situation. Child, you still need to treat her better, but don't put on that annoying gesture. I won't. Yu Fei was firm, I already regarded her as my daughter. Okay, then let's go. Even if the third brother didn't care much about this incident, the matter was really noisy. Let's go over to receive the guests and find a suitable reason for the third brother. Okay. Why are we not welcome? The girl looks like a 16 or 17-year-old, upright young girl, wearing light blue clothes, with a soft ribbon on the small waist that Ying Ying holds, a high nose bridge, delicate skin, and some girlish uniqueness in the eyes of Qia Shui. Some are resolute, a rather three-dimensional and beautiful girl. She is Qi Yuaner. According to her understanding, Yuqi should have a marriage contract with her, but why did the Yu family seem to have not seen her after she arrived at the Wei family? Especially his father Qi Bai, who was obviously awkwardly sitting in the corner of the table by himself. And under her questioning, Qi Bai finally revealed the situation carefully. It turned out that it was because of the 12 Lianhuan docks and some business problems, so he came directly to find the head of the Yu family, Yu Su Bing, that is, Yu Kai's father, who came to break off the marriage. The others agreed without saying anything. Never would have thought that Jian Wenxi not only survived in the last 12 consecutive docks, but also forced the other chiefs to come to the Wei family as guests, which simply gave the Wei family enough face. It was impossible for him not to take advantage of this opportunity to have a relationship with 12 linked docks, so he was cheeky and came here with an apology. Qi Yuaner's beautiful eyes are shocked. She understands. Instantly understood, it turned out that his father had divorced him. No wonder others treat her so badly. Don't say it's someone else, just say it's herself. She doesn't have the face to stay in someone else's house. Father, you are here, I have no face to face Uncle you. She angrily left the Wei's house, which was surrounded by several layers of walls. Chi Bai smiled dryly, but he still chose to stay. Put aside the daughter's affairs. Business is the most important thing. He hurried over to the other masters of the 12 linked docks again. This is a familiar face from the past. And Chi Yuaner was walking on the street, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com, looked at the lively scene behind her, and then went to watch the carriages heading for Wei's house. She was in a mess now. After this matter is over, I need to talk to Yuchi. I don't say anything that can be saved, just express my apology. Rai smile. She left alone in a carriage. For a clothing-making town like Sufo town, there is only one way for ladies to get married, and that is to find the right person. This sounds very simple, and there are no requirements for women. But it's actually quite the opposite. Women need to be proficient in all kinds of life skills, and more importantly, have a certain degree of control over piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting. It is also necessary to be proficient in arithmetic. Only in this way can I work with my husband to grow the business slowly. So for Chi Yuaner, even though she never met Yuchi, she did not know how much effort she put in, just to wait until the day of the engagement banquet to make Yuchi, the third son of the Yu family, have a better impression of her. And today, when she learned that she was able to see Yuchi in advance, she was quite happy, and asked the maid to help her dress up. The already pleasant face is even more beautiful. In the end, he came over in a panic. And then? All destroyed. She knows that the Chi family does have some problems in business now, there are many things to overcome, and there will be some frivolous behaviors, but she can't make fun of her marriage. How will you get married in the future? Would anyone want this kind of girl? No. Thinking of the grievances in my heart, I rode the carriage alone and went back crying in the carriage. Yuchi crawled out of a creek in dismay, and felt what was called death drift. Almost disappeared. The mortal realm is almost meaningless. When you practice Chi realm, you won't kill yourself at will. Yuchi also pulled out a water weed from his throat. One is afraid of a water plant with arm lengths. Yuck! After squatting by the water and coughing a lot, the whole person barely recovered. With Fijian in his hand, Yuchi saw the curling green smoke that could be seen in the distance. For the first time, a sentence appeared in my mind. Set fire to the mountain and sit in jail. Shaked his head. This should be a village. He was a little moved, so he took away the flying sword and slowly walked towards the village. It happened that he had this opportunity, and he also thought about where he was. The place where I am now is Kyushu. As the name suggests, Kyushu has a total of 9 large areas. Most of the people were gathered in the first 6 states. The 7th state is all desert, the 8th state is a vast body of water, and the 9th state is a mountain range that has existed for thousands of years. Sufo town is on the 3rd continent, located in an unknown little point on the 3rd continent. The truly luxurious place seems to be 100,000 miles away. There are many sects. As a result, the monsters that can be seen are quite rare. Basically, once the monsters leak, they will be killed by the monks. Therefore, monsters are more common in the lower 3 states, that is, deserts, waters and mountains. In the future, if there is a chance, I still need to take my disciples out to experience it, and I can't always have a cultivation base. Isn't that just like me? Blushing slightly. He felt that he was not good at fighting, and he was an ordinary person in his previous life. Not the city soldier king, or the bodyguard next to a certain CEO. Not to mention a son-in-law with astonishing force. His force value is almost equal to 0. Yuchi didn't think that a frontal battle was a good idea. If he really wanted to fight, he should launch a sneak attack. One shot kills the enemy. But no matter what, he felt that he always had to learn to fight. I'm afraid this path to the immortal sect would not be so easy to follow. Once Deng Xianmen was discovered one day. God knows how many sect masters will come over to shout. At that time, it would be a small thing to lose face in front of the disciples of the sect, and it would be a big deal to hurt the disciples of the sect. It was a failure too. Now I picked up a tree branch from the ground and came to a small village. The small village looked like 100 or 10 households. I could see that there were many meat drying racks and a lot of fur on the flat area of the small village. It seems that this small village relies on hunting for a living. There is still a trail to the south of the village. At this time, it was getting dark and dinner. Yuji was hiding in the woods and silently watched the situation of the village in the distance. Thanks to the power of the immortal stone in his mind, he can directly see the spiritual roots of mortals. That little sister can do it. Lei Lingan's talent is actually a rank 7, which is one rank stronger than little sister Shen King Han. Just because he looks older. It seems to be about the same age as me. Paused. Yuji was a little scared. In this world, men and women are married relatively early. I seem to have a fiancé, but it's all right now. The fiancé seems to have abandoned me. Logically speaking, you should clench your fists and shout to the sky, don't bully the poor. No matter how bad it is, let me say, 30 years of Hedong and 30 years of Hexi. Actual. Very happy. And he had no feelings for this girl he had never met. After thinking about it again. Don't be a wife. I'm not a thief cao. But she really wants to practice, and I will help her too. While thinking about it, he found that this young lady was wearing a commoner and pulling up a bow and arrow. The bow and arrow were aimed directly at him. Next. The arrow was like a poisonous dragon in the air, and it flew towards him in a serpentine drift. After all, the mortal realm is still the mortal realm, and there is no way to escape. Yuji rolled around as a lazy donkey, his body escaped fatal injuries, and he looked down. Oh hoo! An arrow was hit in the knee, and the blood pressure was instantly full. At night, the oil lamp appeared beside the small wooden table. Yuji's right leg was wrapped in a piece of clothing, and he sat on the kong with bared teeth. In front of him was a girl in sackcloth clothes serving dishes on the table. There was still some steaming corn in the earthen bowl. This kind of colorful rice looked very bad. It was the first time he saw the state of eating in the village. In a big pot, all kinds of wild vegetables, meat and fungi are placed in the stew, and the big pot is sticky. Master, it's time to eat. The girl whispered. After speaking, she will backhand the door and leave. Let's eat together. Yuji hurriedly stopped. Can the little girl serve the table? The girl was surprised. Yes, why not? Yuji was depressed. Sure enough, you guessed correctly, there are still many girls who need to be rescued slowly. The girl thought about it carefully, and then she still didn't eat at a table. She didn't know who Yuji was, but she knew that she accidentally injured him, and she was a little scared when she thought about it, if it wasn't for the other party's reaction. This arrow should have been shot directly from his shoulder, directly shattering his heart. But how could he escape? Pity. I'm still not good at archery, otherwise he will die. She sighed a little. Hey, just think about it, don't say it. Yuji was speechless. Sorry. She said quickly. Yuji was very hungry, so he moved to the side of the wooden bench and looked at this unobstructed hut from the corner of his eye. He tried to ask, don't know your name yet. Little girl Su Feeling. Good name. Yuji praised. Poof. What a perfunctory look. During the meal, she also looked at each other secretly. Her body was obviously thin, which should be caused by malnutrition, but she was all right. She was 17 or 18 years old, with a tall and straight posture, but she was still the same as Shen King Han, with dark skin. Yes, although the scorching sun in the mountains is relatively mild, it cannot compare with the eldest lady in Sufo town. The skin is even more rough, the hair is messy on the head, and there are a lot of lice on the head. Very real. Yuji also asked, "Are you married?" "Not married yet." Su Feeling blurted out. After seeing this young master take a sigh of relief, she immediately realized that something was wrong. "What are you doing? Why is this person asking this question? How can anyone ask this as soon as they come up?" Yuji breathed a sigh of relief. "It's okay. Not a wife." Then, also a little disappointed, she secretly pinched her thigh again, and then she bared her teeth and asked kindly, "Girl, do you want to cultivate immortals?" "I don't want to." Su Feeling answered cautiously. The more she looked at Yuji, the more she looked like a liar. Originally, no outsiders came from the village. How did he find it? And then sneakily hid in the grass. Then I asked myself this question. Cultivation? What kind of immortal cultivation? What kind of cultivator? With whom to cultivate immortals? With him? It's not good? Even though he looks handsome, it's too fast. Su Feeling felt a little hot for a while, and the hand behind her was clutching an iron dagger. If Yuji did something wrong to her, she could resist. "Girl, you have a set of abilities for self-defense." Yuji looked dumbfounded. After thinking for a while, he sighed faintly and said deliberately, "Unfortunately, I originally thought that you could cultivate immortals, and I had some aptitudes, and I wanted to rescue you, but now I look at your eloquent appearance. I left immediately after eating." Saying that, he secretly lifted the jade talisman, and his body instantly disappeared in place. Su Feeling immediately rubbed her eyes and looked at the wooden table in horror. Is Yuji missing? This boy is gone? She hurriedly rushed into the small village to take a look, and she suddenly had cold sweat on her forehead. What is your son doing on the roof? She was helpless. Yuji was embarrassed. He originally wanted to use the jade talisman to instantly appear in an area within 30 feet, so that he could show his strength. Fortunately, it happened to go directly to the roof. But that sentence is well said. As long as I'm not embarrassed, it's others who are embarrassed. As the head of the sect, Yuji, how can his face become thinner? I'm just leaving this place, but it's a pity that you are going to stay in this kind of place for the rest of your life. It's a pity that in the good years, other disciples can have their own cultivation places. They can all cultivate immortals. You have to grow old alone in a place like this. Pitiful. Said, closed his eyes, and was about to leave. Waves of air erupted on his body, and now Yuji looks like a master. The last question before leaving, do you want to stay young forever? Yuji looked down condescendingly. Su Feeling's delicate body was shocked. No girl can resist this attraction. This is fatal. Want to? Yuji stretched his voice, his body exuded bursts of immortal energy, which was a kind of supreme stare from the sect master. Su Feeling was taken aback. You didn't tell me sooner. Biting her lip. Think. She said. Yuji was satisfied, and at the same time, he thought about whether he should not talk about those who have or not when he next time to find a disciple. Just come up and ask this question directly. In this way, he said calmly, does the girl cultivate immortals? In the evening, Su Feeling was away from some relatives and cried all night. When the next morning, Yuji took Su Feeling's hand and brought the girl in floral clothes into the Dengxian gate, which aroused the amazement of all the villagers. Go to Xianmen. The mountains and rivers are beautiful, the birds and flowers are fragrant, the sky is blue and lush. Mountainside. Senior brother in charge. After Shen Qinghan saw Yuji coming, he ran over in a hurry, his dark eyes were full of excitement. It's been a long time since I saw my head. The sect leader seems to have lost some hair, but he seems to be getting stronger. Sure enough, the leader is still the leader. No matter how much you cultivate, you can't see through it. Who are you? Yuji looked at the girl in front of him who was looking at him with anticipation. Deng Xianmen was thieves? Why is the girl in front of you so unfamiliar, with a very fair face, a lively little girl of 12 or 13 years old, she can see a kind of vigor. Very cute. So where did King Han go? Did you drill into the soil? It's me, Senior Sect Master. Shen King Han stomped his feet angrily. Paused. He said excitedly, I am King Han. Ah! Yuji was startled, does Xiaoxian have such an effect? Originally, the eternal youth was a trick to fool people, but I didn't expect it to have such an effect. As the saying goes, one white cover 100 ugliness. Not to mention that this little girl, Shen King Han, has a very good foundation. Now in the appearance she just brought back, they are really two people. Moreover, it seems that this figure has also grown, even wearing ordinary clothes, but there is a unique agility of immortal cultivators. How long has it been since then? Okay, he looks really fast and good. There were also many smiles on Yuji's face. I didn't lie to you, did I? Yes. Sect Master. I can even feel a fire in my body now. That's when you are about to break through. Yuji smiled, and he also gave a Nawan pill. Then the two looked at each other. Youth forever. Senior brother in charge. Haha. Shen King Han took it as if he had received a treasure, but fortunately, he saluted his senior brother in charge. And this piece of clothing, let's see if you can. Yuji took out a piece of clothing, which was from his own clothes store. But King Han has grown up and doesn't know if she can wear it. I'll try it out. Compared with medicinal pills, the little girl obviously prefers the clothes Yuji gave. He quickly ran to the dilapidated hut next to him. Coming out soon. The little girl who was about 12 or 13 years old was wearing a small goose yellow skirt, the waist of the skirt was just right, especially the small light blue flower embroidered on the shoulder looked very fresh. She has fair skin and beautiful appearance, and although her calves are not long, compared to the black-faced little girl before, she has changed a lot. Senior brother in charge. Shen King Han looked at the young man in front of him expectantly. Beautiful. Yuji admired from the bottom of his heart. He's really good looking, and he's not a literati, but now Shen King Han really feels like a little girl who cultivates immortals, with a different special atmosphere. Very. Okay. Very good. Hee hee. Shen King Han was very happy to receive the head's approval. She pinched her fleshy little face again, and when she was in pain, she laughed again. It's not a dream, King Han really has a senior brother in charge. Haha, of course there are. Yuji was amused and laughed out loud. King Han still has a good personality. Then at this time, Shen King Han finally saw another person behind Yuji. Really didn't see it, really only saw Yuji. If it weren't for the extreme mood swings of the other person, she wouldn't have found it. This one? Shen King Han looked at her curiously. Su Feeling seemed a little nervous. She originally thought that Yuji might be a liar, but now she looks at it, she is not a liar at all. The little girl in front of her was obviously not as old as her, but she called out to the young man next to her, saying that she was the head senior brother. Let's compare myself with this little girl. Whether it's physical strength or looks, I can't compare at all. The other party is a standard fairy girl, what about yourself? Some inexplicably want to cry. Let me introduce, this is the disciple who will practice with you in the future. You are the first to enter my immortal gate, so you will be her senior sister from now on. You two will practice together, so you won't be so lonely. Yuji calmly introduce. Really? Shen King Han was excited. The little girl still likes to play, and cultivation is even more boring, but having one more person by her side makes a difference. Without any bad intentions, she ran over and held Su Feeling's hand. I have a junior sister, she said in surprise. Su feeling was still a little awkward. Yes. Yuchi took out a book like a juggler. The exercise for which 100 points were exchanged was different from the immortality formula that Shen Qinghan had learned before. This Wanyi Lei Fa was obviously an entry-level exercise for the Thunder Department, and it could still be practiced to the peak of Qi training. You take it to practice. If there is something you don't understand, you can ask your senior sister Qinghan. Yuchi handed over the book. He was destined to not understand it anyway, so he might as well give the book to someone who is useful. Thank you, Sect Master, Senior Brother. Su feeling said clearly with difficulty. Allow yourself to say this to appear. Some shame. What a shame. This is the end of the matter, Qinghan, talk to you, the deity will leave first. If it is urgent, just call the deity directly with the immortal stone. Yuchi looked like an expert. Before leaving, he also turned his back to the two girls. My face is full of pain. He waved his arm. The mountainside, which was originally overgrown with weeds, was as clean as new, and the ground was completely made of flat bluestone bricks. Look at the two bedrooms rising from the ground. The green bricks, green tiles, antique flavor. Shen Qinghan was dumbfounded, and Su feeling sneeze softened, and she knelt down. Woohoo! Really an expert. My money. My point. Yuchi held back his heartache. He pretended not to care and said easily, girls, cultivate well, and the world will be yours in the future. Ah! With a snorting voice, Yuchi disappeared into the gate of Dengxian. Wanyi Lifa was bought for 100 Dao points, which is very cheap. The bluestone brick floor actually cost 500 points. As for these two rooms, they add up to 1,000. Yuchi pondered the Dao points in his heart. These things were earned by himself. Who can bear this kind of consumption method? I still have to get money to support the immortal sect. Inside the immortal gate, Shen Qinghan looked at the surrounding scene and really said, wow! My own senior brother looks so powerful. Can this kind of thing be made casually? To be able to create such a house at will. It doesn't have the style and grandeur of a palace, but this kind of Xiaoxian hall floating in the mist of mountains and rivers is even more charming. After taking a breath, Shen Qinghan looked at Su feeling and said with a smile, Junior sister, from now on, you have to practice hard. Senior brother in charge is very kind to us. We can't disappoint senior brother sect master. Su feeling looked at her blankly, what's the name of the head? Ah! Shen Qinghan was stunned for a moment, then squatted down with his head in his arms, I forgot. No, girl. Don't you even know the boy's name now? Did you cultivate under someone else's door? Is this all right? Do you know? Junior sister. Shen Qinghan's small eyes moved away from her knees. I don't know. Su feeling was embarrassed. Haha, ask again next time, now I'll take you to wash and brush, and then you need to practice hard. Shen Qinghan smiled, and this also dragged Su feeling into the small room next to her. She had the appearance of a little adult, and she washed Su feeling's face red and ears red inside and out. There are places that should be washed and places that should not be washed. What bad thoughts does the little girl have? Su feeling, who was thoroughly washed, had 3 buckets of water dirty. Fortunately, the mountain is full of spring water, which is very clear. Shen Qinghan held a handful of water and drank it happily. Su feeling did as she did. Dun dun, the mountain spring water is really sweet. His eyes were still a little dazed, it was really hard to imagine that he had come here. You must know that you were still hunting yesterday. Could this young man really be his nobleman? This is. His eyes fell to a lotus pond, which looked so beautiful. This is what the head senior brother gave to me. Provided cultivation blessed land. Cultivation here can increase the speed of cultivation. Senior sister. Shen Qinghan held a small flower and placed it on tiptoe on Su Feeling's hair. While satisfied, she also added, "Cultivation well, the sect master knows everything that happens in the whole immortal sect like the palm of your hand. Only then will we be able to obtain the expectations of the sect master, and then we will be able to supply some exercises and medicinal pills." "Okay. I'll try my best," Su Feeling said in amazement. But instead, he immediately asked, "We don't need to do anything else, just cultivate." "What do you mean?" Shen Qinghan didn't understand. "That's right. Don't sect cultivation need gold and silver? I brought money here. When will I pay the Bayman gold and silver?" Shen Qinghan doesn't understand. It doesn't mean Su Feeling doesn't understand. The reason why she rejected Yuchi before was because she knew that cultivating would cost a lot of money. Especially after arriving at the sect, it is necessary to give a sum of money, so that the sect will give people to practice the exercises. Then you need to complete the mission of the sect, and then the sect will give some medicine pills. In succession, there are martial arts competitions and various assessments. Where is the sect that gives you a secret book when you come up? I don't know, is that so? Shen Qinghan scratched his head. You reading www.yuyuganshu.com yet? That's right. Don't tell me you haven't given a penny now. Su Feeling was shocked. No, I was chopping wood at the time, and then the senior brother found me, and then he let me practice. Shen Qinghan said seriously. Isn't it? Who is he? He will give this kind of thing casually. Cultivation of immortals is not a way to go. For the sect, it is a business. And Shen Qinghan touched her little face and continued, then the head will give me the blessed land, and then give me the medicinal pill, which seems to be from Naiwandan, and if you buy it outside, it seems to be 100 taels of silver. Hi! 100 taels! Su Feeling clutched her chest, and there was some fire there. 2. Shen Qinghan said with a smile, placing her little finger on her forehead. Pfft! Su Feeling couldn't hold back any more, looking at Shen Qinghan, she didn't know what to say. Is this possible? Why? It is not inferred. Why did he give this beautiful little girl so many pills? According to the truth, there is a benefit exchange. Is it? Su Feeling looked up and down at Shen Qinghan, her eyes instantly turned shy. Could it be repayment with the body? This young man is not human, even such a small girl will not be spared. Yuchi. Shen Qinghan's pretty face also turned bright red. What are you thinking about? Junior sister? No. Su Feeling was a little scared. Of course not. Shen Qinghan hit with a palm, and a wasp was blasted away by the air wave as far as 3 feet. Wasp, did I mess with anyone? No wonder Su Feeling was able to think crookedly. This is so normal. The sect is not a quiet place, it is full of all kinds of infighting. According to people in the village, there are disciples who can hold positions in the sect. Whether it is male or female. They were all treated like that. Shen Qinghan really wanted to beat the girl in front of her, how could she think of this randomly? Then he said leisurely, this is the training of our sect master, he is wiser than all the sect masters in this world. Wait until we are strong, then can't we help him? Then, the disciple of the senior apprentice brother Jiutiangxia, isn't this also a very honorable thing? Junior sister, don't be so rude. I'm still young, be careful, I tell the head senior brother this kind of thing. And then my heart is still pure. Su Feeling's cheeks were dark, full of embarrassment and shyness. I'm sorry, I thought he stretched out his claws against you. Su Feeling breathed a sigh of relief. Isn't it, I hope. Shen Qinghan fiddled with her little arm leisurely. Su Feeling, hey. Just kidding. Shen Qinghan grinned, no matter what, the main thing is cultivation. The senior brother in charge doesn't ask us, but we also need to actively help him. Su Feeling breathed a sigh of relief. Scared people to death. But thinking about it carefully, she really felt guilty. Even if Yuji really had that kind of request for her, that kind of request that shouldn't be. This can also be explained. But this good-looking little girl doesn't have any drama. I guess it's even more difficult for her. He glanced at his chest faintly again. It seems to have shrunk. Then that's it. I'll go to practice first. Then, junior sister, if you have questions about your cultivation, you can talk to me. I will teach you. Shen Qinghan didn't care. She is going to practice, and Na Yuandan can't let the senior brother down. Su Feeling nodded hurriedly. Then he watched Shen Qinghan sitting on this lotus leaf. The little girl's light body rippled on the lotus pond, and Su Feeling's eyes also showed some envy. No, it would be great if the sect master also gave him a blessed land. Then, according to what senior sister Shen Qinghan said, it seems that senior brother in charge is a good person. Can you let others down? Absolutely not. This can't let others down. Practice. Practice. Practice now. After practicing for 10 days, then there will be no guilt. Su Feeling began to read this book of myriad Yelei Fa. What Yuji couldn't understand at all fell into her eyes, and it was exquisite. The confusion in his eyes began to change rapidly. From doubt, to enlightenment, to shock. The favorability level is skyrocketing. With Shen Qinghan's example by her side, after the first trace of thunder appeared in her heart. She got it. Senior brother in charge really didn't lie. Deng Xianmen is true. There are green trees and flowers all over the mountains. Here. So beautiful. After Yuji returned to Sifu Town's Wei Fu's mansion, he rubbed his nose. I always feel that someone is talking ill of me behind my back. Thinking about it, I haven't returned to the Yufu for a while, and the Yufu doesn't know what the situation is. But King Han, this girl has changed a lot. How long has I been practicing? I don't know how beautiful it will be in the future. The talent is also very good. Fortunately, I was deceived by me. Yuji grinned. Yu Guang glanced at the immortal stone. Shen Qinghan, the 8th level of the mortal realm, the favor of the sect, 100%. Su Feeling, the 1st level of the mortal realm, the favor of the sect, 100%. Well, I've already gotten started, isn't it fast? Yuji opened the door and was about to go out, but his steps stopped instantly. Is this 10%? Yuji was shocked. Su Feeling is not only very capable of self-defense, but is it so easy to improve the favor of this sect? Think carefully. Yuji thinks this makes sense. Shen Qinghan was beside him. There is a person next to her, which makes you feel safe immediately, and the other person is still younger than her. 2. When she reaches the 5th level of the mortal realm, I'll get her a Nawan Dan too. There is also a blessed land that needs to be arranged. You can't favor one over another. Yuji didn't go to his eldest brother directly. He first went back to his room and made a detailed policy. Is a book. The Master's Operation Manual written by himself. It records in detail when to give medicinal pills, what realm to give to blessed land, and what stage to give to practice. These all need to be standard. Reward and punishment are clear. Yuji felt that he needed to go through this kind of thing to the end. Although Deng Xianmen are all his disciples, and the palms and backs are full of flesh, it is impossible to favor anyone. If there is a fire in the sect, although the sect's favor will not be lost, but the sect has internal fighting, this is not acceptable. There are still rules and regulations. Everyone is sisters, don't use knives or guns. An hour later, the two brothers sat and drank tea together. Third brother, where have you been these days? Yu Zhe used a folding fan to draw air. I went out for a couple of laps and thought about some things. Yu Qi smiled. Has anything major happened in the Yu residence recently? Wei Zhe introduced it like this. He roughly talked about the news about the arrival of the 12 links at the Wei's mansion, including some business matters. Everything is fine. Then there are 3 things. Second brother still wants to chat with you, he has a baby, do you know? Yu Zhe made tea. I know. Yuqi tapped his fingers on the table to express his gratitude, is it one or several? 1. Yu Zhe sat back on the wooden chair, he wants you to name his daughter. Me. Yuqi spat out a piece of tea, very surprised. Yes, after all, you are his daughter's uncle. Yu Zhe joked, and he is still quite afraid of you, probably because you chopped off his finger before. Haha, I'm doing this for his own good, now he just doesn't go to the casino. Yuji laughed. On the other hand, he said happily, I'll find my second brother later. They're all in the same family, so there's no point in confrontation. But speaking of this, what about second sister-in-law? I haven't seen it before. Yuji wondered. Can this little girl jump out of a rock? And the second sister-in-law should have come out to meet, but there is no news at all now. The memory is even more blank. Don't say it, he himself doesn't know who your second sister-in-law is. Yu Zhe was a little embarrassed. Yuji was surprised. It took a while for him to come back to his senses, second brother is so good at playing. Yes, he played well. So are you sure that this child is the biological child of the eldest brother? This uncertainty. Yes. Yuji leaned back on the chair weakly. He didn't even know how to complain. The security measures are really not in place. He thinks it's necessary for him to go to science to learn about safety. I'm really not afraid of getting sick. Speaking of it, the child is innocent. It's just that this second brother is really a dude, he's blind to such a good face. Haha, then the second thing, our Wei family has begun to provoke hatred from others. How do you say this? Yuji was puzzled. Thanks to the formation of the 12 link docks, our Wei family was originally a 10% operation of Su Fuchen's clothes, but now it has become 20%. Father has been laughing all the time, and all kinds of business have come to him. This would have been a great thing, but obviously someone was jealous. Yu Zhe also frowned a little, I wonder if the third brother still remembers? I told you about Yun Chanman before. Remember? Yuji drank tea and nodded, the Yunshan gate that wants me 10,000 taels of silver. It's just a female disciple, the price is so high. Knowing is to wear clothes. I don't know, I thought it was taking off. Yes, they took the initiative to look for us and said they could provide us with protection. Yu Zhe said it all. He looked at the young man in front of him, and the young man's eyes instantly became indifferent. Yuji, protection fee. Yes. Yu Zhe confirmed, according to the past rules, it is about 10,000 taels a year. How much? Yuji exclaimed. 10,000 taels. Yu Zhe said. Isn't this stealing money? Yuji was shocked. How much is 10,000 taels? He only has 1 tael of pocket money a month. If he was allowed to earn 10,000 taels, how many days would it take? But a full 10,000 months. 12 months a year. Then it is more than 800 years. How? This life is not enough, do you have to ask God to borrow it for hundreds of years? No. Yuji said directly. Give a shit. With this money, wouldn't he buy 2 clothes for Shen Qinghan and Su Feeling? Saving money to improve Xianmen, is it bad? Wouldn't it be good to use it to expand the Wei family's business? For this sect? Not happy to feed the dog.